In episode number 330 of the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, we cover Star Trek IV's cancellation by Paramount Pictures.
We also have news on Sony's future Spider-Verse plans.
Our comic book review this week is Young Justice #1 from Brian Michael Bendis.
All of this and so much more on today's show.
Hello and welcome to the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke every single week, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and so much more. I am Bird Keeper Daniel.
Y yo soy Emperor Kelli.
Turning you brokettes of the show, the way we break it down is we go through the news first. We head into the Brokehead block, which is where Papa Kelly and I have been this week. We go into the Patreon shoutouts, which are the thank yous to all of our Brokehead Patreons that make the show possible every week. And then we end it on a comic book highlight movie review. In this case, of course, it is Young Justice #1.
C. I've exhausted all my Spanish now. So we're going to jump right into our news, which, like we said in the very beginning, is about Star Trek IV.
According to Deadline, Paramount Pictures has canceled the film. There were some issues, of course, with the passing of one of the young actors. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the big things of, okay, well, what's going to happen? Obviously, they can do some rewrites. They can choose not to include them in the film. But there was more to it than just the actor's passing. Supposedly,
Chris Hemsworth and Chris Pine had previously dropped out of the film over monetary issues, so they wanted more zeros on that check.
Hell yeah, man. You got Thor and you got Chris Pine just coming off of Wonder Woman. I'm sure around those period of times they were going through negotiations for Star Trek IV. It had been a while since the last one, so Chris Pine's like, I just came on this Wonder Woman film, and it made a shit ton of money. You don't think you're going to pay me more? You're going to pay me more.
I was naked.
That's all he says. I was naked.
And they're like, oh, yeah, I guess. Isn't he in a movie where it's like full frontal?
I don't know.
It's a Netflix movie. My dad told me about it.
Why'd your dad tell you this?
I don't know.
Ask him if there's a movie where Jason Momoa is also nude and frontal. He will let you know 100% one way or the other.
He wasn't in Game of Thrones? Did we just see his butt?
Who, Chris Pine?
No, Momoa.
You might have seen his butt, yeah.
We never saw his butt?
You saw him forcing himself on his wife?
Yes, I did see that.
You may have seen his butt. You saw her butt because it's Game of Thorns. Well, the film franchise Star Trek started way back in 2009, almost a decade ago now.
Wow.
Under director J.J. Abrams, who is now, of course, back on Star Wars for Disney. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's been a while since we've had this particular franchise. What are your overall feelings of Paramount Star Trek, especially as someone who is a fan of The Next Generation, but more importantly, Voyager?
Is Captain Picard in either of these movies?
He might have been in Star Trek IV. We don't know and we'll never know. But it would not have been Jean-Luc as we know him.
Then who cares? I enjoyed the first one. I feel like I enjoyed the second one. I don't remember the third one. What was the third one?
That's the one where they went into the alien planet and they got stranded. I fell asleep during it a little bit. And it got nominated. It lost to Suicide Squad at the Academy Awards for special effects.
Is that the one where they start out on the red planet and then the things like start worshiping them?
Yeah.
That's all I remember from that movie. Because I thought it was striking that it was all red, right? But then all gone. Don't remember any of it.
Great use of color, great directing in many scenes of the movie. We had Khan in the second one, which was pretty controversial. But the whole thing, my whole thing with Star Trek, and now people are pretending like, oh, that's a shame. I would have seen Star Trek 4.
Sure.
Man, I really like that franchise. No, you didn't. No, you didn't like it.
You didn't give a shit about this franchise.
As soon as something goes away, then people are like, oh, man, I would have liked that.
I loved it.
My whole thing was it felt more like Star Wars than it did Star Trek. It was not about people sitting around on the captain's, the bay and pondering problems and figuring them out. That's what you did. And you went back and forth. There was philosophy behind it. There was not this action scenes of like, teleport me out immediately and then brr, brr, brr. No, none of that. Like, that's not Star Trek.
It's their Star Trek. It's J.J. Abrams' Star Trek.
I want to see them debate for 30 minutes.
Okay.
Against these greedy-ass Cardassians.
The Kardashians?
No, the Cardassians. They were cheap-ass motherfuckers. Hated those guys.
I'd rather they put the Kardashians in there. That would be great. I would watch that.
I think it was Deep Space Nine where they included a Cardassian, and I was like, man, don't try to make me feel good about this race. Like, I'm trying to be speciesist against these fuckers.
The big-eared, gross
cheap
teeth.
Ass.
Cheap ass.
That was my biggest thing. That's all they were. They kept giving Picard grief in The Next Generation, so naturally I did not like them. Who were the other ones that were kind of like the Vulcans? They had like the longer ears, but they were more yellow.
I don't remember.
Romulans. Pieces of shit.
Yeah.
That's another
they were
race.
in the first movie.
Yeah,
they were the bad guys in the first movie.
Don't like the Romulans. Hate them. They were lying to Picard half the time. And when he called them out on it, and when he was like, you fucking knew about this shit. And they're like, no, I didn't buy. And they leave because they had no evidence. Picard had no evidence to actually essentially start a war against these guys and show the rest of the Federation. But it was just like, you pieces of shit, slime balls. You know Picard can't get you on this fucking shit, but he will one day.
I hated the Borg. In Voyager, they were fucking creepy.
What else did they do in Voyager? How did they fight the Borg?
You want to know how I think they took them down? And I might not remember this clearly, so someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But I think Janeway actually became the Borg and took them down from the inside.
Why no Picard becomes a part of the Borg?
Cool. But did he take them down from the inside? No, but Janeway did.
That'd be cool if she did. I've never seen all of Voyager.
But then they started, like, they had reformed Borg. Like, 7 of 9 was there.
Right.
And then we started to feel
Borg.
for them.
Yeah, men felt things for her.
But they were, I guess, essentially like a parasite race, right? They would just went around and took over things and assimilated them, and resistance was futile and bullshit.
What I always thought was funny about Star Trek is, it was ahead of its time with the philosophies and the questions it asked. At one point, like a lot of the woke Twitter will point to Syrup actually falling in love with one of the androgynous races where they have no sex, or they're none, or whatever. And then that was like ahead of its time, because then that particular creature decides that it does feel female or male, and in this case it's female, because you can't have that guy falling in love with
of course not
with a male.
It wasn't that ahead of its time.
Right. And I thought that was funny, but they still say like, oh, well, they're tackling these issues that you see today. But then you still have like all the females with like short skirts, and then like
maybe they wanted to wear that. Maybe it's warm in space.
And then you have Picard being a sexy male there, like they're just flaunting him around for the women.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it's like it had both. Like it was behind, then modern and ahead of its time, I guess. I love Next Gen.
It was a good series. And, going back to the movies, I really enjoyed the first movie. The second one was meh. And like we just said, I don't even remember the third. So would I have seen the fourth? Probably. But I'm not like, oh, no.
Right.
Oh, no.
Let them focus on the TV. Let them focus on the Picard show.
There's a Picard show?
Oh, yeah. We covered this.
Oh, a young Picard.
No. It is literally like Picard now. And he said that it's pretty much telling the last chapter of his life, like where he is now.
Does he forget to put away his shoes?
Oh my God. Don't kill me like that again. The inner light. You gotta bring that up.
Speaking of which, did you put away your shoes today?
I don't remember.
You did not.
I carried Leo right away. He greeted me.
You did not.
I kicked him off and I carried him.
I just noticed it in the kitchen, and I was like, he got on to me about not putting away my shoes.
That's true.
And now he's not putting away his shoes.
When they do have the Picard show, I hope they have him in like
Is it called the Picard show?
Whatever they call it, I'm watching it.
It's a talk show like, welcome to the deck of the Enterprise.
You remember when he was on vacation and he just wanted to like read by the beach, but they put him in like this bathrobe where he has like this long like V-neck
like opening, yeah.
Yeah, and then the fossil lady kept coming up to him like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Please, leave me alone." And he kept like trying to push her away. And then finally he had to go on a mission and work. But the whole point of the episode was he can only relax when he's working.
Right.
And that's when the whole adventure started. And then he fell in love with this woman like nearly under half his age. And that was it. Like he was the Kirk of Next Gen.
Yeah, and he was great at it. They tried to make syrup the Kirk, but no, we're not about that. It's all about Picard and his Earl Grey tea.
Let's head on over to the Disney side, put on our tinfoil hats for a minute, but it doesn't seem that conspiracy. Let's break this down and see what the Broquette Corps thinks.
So the Walt Disney CEO/chairman Bob Iger tweeted his complete vision for Captain Marvel for the company.
Of course, I think Marvel Studios has a Captain Marvel movie coming out. I don't know. I don't know when it's coming out. It's sometime this year. I'm not seeing any more MCU films, so it does not matter to me, but this is where I found it funny. He tweeted out, quote, "Fasten your seatbelts for a wild ride. Hashtag copy down Marvel." And we'll get to that in a minute. "I think we should build a Captain Marvel land and 50 Captain Marvel attractions, plus Captain Marvel cruise ships, hotels, restaurants, and parades," end quote. Word for word what Bob Iger tweeted.
So before we get into our thoughts, hashtag Capita Marvel is Brazil's hashtag for the film.
Remember that. Brazil's hashtag for the film.
Brazil. Should we highlight that some more?
We should, because we're going to fucking break something down in a minute. 50 attractions for Captain Marvel, Kelly.
Does the same person who writes Trump's tweets also write Bob Iger's tweets?
Apparently. It's another intern or something. All the comments were just like, "Okay, honey." Like GIFs like that. Like I forgot who's the girl from SNL. She's the biggest one right now on SNL that came out of it. Tina Fey.
Okay.
Like a lot of those and Mean Girls and they just tore them down.
It's ridiculous. Like, okay, you're the chairman CEO, right, of this huge company. You should probably understand what makes a good theme park, I would think. And a Captain Marvel theme park with 50 Captain Marvel rides does not a good theme park make.
I get that he's trying to hype up the film. And this speaks more to me of the insecurity that they have now. They're sweating under Captain Marvel because no one's talking about this. Like I see on Twitter, I look at the comic shop that I work at, and everyone that I do end up talking with, and you can gauge really well like what people are excited for, what the common person is, and no one's talking about fucking Captain Marvel. No one's excited about those trailers.
You know what we're talking about?
Two.
You know what we're talking about? Aquaman.
That's right, Aquaman and the 1 billion, hashtag WAN billion. 1 billion.
Almost there. Regardless, this was a stupid tweet. It was dumb. And I think it was probably so over the top so that people wouldn't be like, "Did you hear they're making a Captain Marvel ride?" Because if he was just like, "This is a great movie, we should make a ride," people would be like, "Ooh."
Yes, that would have been more effective.
Right. Instead, he's just like, 50 ride. Like, okay, so you're going to have one roller coaster and one water ride and one bumper cars.
They should not have a single Captain Marvel ride. That you should not have a Captain Marvel ride.
Where are they going to fit it in anyway? There's no place.
It's not going to make enough. No one's going to give a shit about Captain Marvel in 5 years. Just like they don't give a shit about Ant-Man.
Nobody's going to give a shit about Captain Marvel when the movie comes out.
It's true.
Forget 5 years from now with her no smiles.
Flat face, nothing, just no expression on this fucking face.
Her CGI'd mouth.
But it's Superman who should be smiling way more. Yet there's all these screen caps of just Man of Steel with Superman smiling and being the Boy Scout that they want. But no, it's Superman that's lacking the emotion. But as soon as Superman doesn't do it, then it's a fucking issue. He needs to smile. Yeah, what happened? I thought the MCU was like the happy, light, go-lucky, fun film. I thought these were the fun films. What happened here? 50 fucking rights. Get out of here. So anyway, Captain Marvel appealing to Brazil. Guess what they tried to do to poor Jason Momoa, my stunt double, and I know this. I can vouch for the man. So this is bullshit. I immediately said, nah, this is fucking nonsense. This is fucking crap. Get the fuck out of here. Someone in Brazil, so check where they fucking got their paycheck from, put up a doctored video of Jason Momoa allegedly groping one of his kids, his young daughter. And immediately someone came out with the original footage and said, "What the fuck are you doing? This is the original footage, everyone." Just has his arms over his kids as he's actually crying during the premiere of the Hawaiian Aquaman showing. And it's a beautiful moment, and she actually takes her dad's arm and she wants to hold his hand, so that's why she grabs him. And people doctored it to where, like, it's disgusting. It's fucking filth. Someone in Brazil did that. And on top of that, so you got Bob Iger here trying to drum up the Brazilians, and now he's drumming up some fucking background Brazilians over here trying to take down James Wan's Aquaman, trying to take down Jason Momoa, who we know from all of this footage and all of these pictures that we've seen up to this point, he loves the hell out of his kids. There's never been any hint of any of that. And God forbid, like someone said on Twitter, just changing our kids' diapers soon will be sexual harassment. Like, it's going to get to that point if that shit. Well, fucking Momoa came down hard.
Good.
He is suing. He is suing this Brazilian fucker for his doctoring and for his fucking video.
Here's the thing. You don't mess with somebody's kids, right? 0%. You can't do that. And then to even insinuate, and, you and I were talking about this earlier, I know how much I love our son, right? The bond between a father and daughter is 100% different. Like, I have a different relationship with my dad than I'm going to have with our kid. I mean, it's weird.
Sure.
Y'all get what I'm trying to say, right? But to insinuate that he would do that to his kid, I can't imagine what he's going through, because it just makes you sick to think about anybody looking at your kid that way or thinking of your kid that way, and to insinuate that it's yourself. No.
Good on Jason. I hope that this gives every other media outlet, every other piece of shit, MCU sheep, blogger, reviewer that wants to try to spin the story into the negative thing. And thankfully, Newsarama and Bleeding Cool haven't picked up on any of this, thankfully. Unless they pick up on the story that he fucking sued for that shit and won, because he deserves to win for that kind of nonsense. But shame on anyone that immediately jumped on that shit. And I've seen a lot of sheep immediately. It's like, this is what the hill you're gonna die on right here, when there's clear evidence that this is nonsense. Right. Get the fuck out of here. Did your phone autocorrect James Gunn's for Jason Momoa? What the fuck are you doing?
I want the guy who doctored that video to be like at home one day typing on his computer and there's a lot of lightning and bullshit, and then the trench come in like, oh shit.
Someone tweeted out the quote from Dark Knight where he's like, and your plan is to sue this man? Good luck with Morgan Freeman. With the Batmobile. It's like, you're gonna go up against a guy twice your size. He's gonna sue your fucking ass.
Of course he is. And good on Jason Momoa. Like, and I don't know if he responded verbally or anything, but for him just to be like, yeah, just sue him.
Yeah, there haven't been, not that I've seen any tweets from him or anything on Instagram. Instead, it was just like within hours, like, oh, and he's suing him. Like, it's like, shit.
Good. I mean, that was the right response, right? Because if he had gone on there and been verbal and been like, this guy's a fucking idiot out there for everyone, he would have lost some of that credibility. I mean, not that we think that happened, right? But just as a person to react that way.
Well, what's great is the DCEU community immediately came out, and because we want to know the fucking truth, of course. And that's when we brought up these videos of, like, we've seen this on Momoa's actual YouTube already, the different camera angles of this particular. I saw this a week ago during the Hawaiian premiere. He put it up on his official YouTube channel. All of that is fucking nonsense. And as soon as they called, like, he probably didn't even have to do anything. As soon as, like, we were doing the fight for him, because this is the community that they have built. We love these movies. We love these actors. We love Zack Snyder. And they call us the toxic ones. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Go ahead and keep hashtagging Brazil. Keep drumming that shit up. We know where the fucking connections are coming from. We know who he got paid for, who they got paid for. Even some Brazilian DCEU fans are like, I'm embarrassed that this shit, we apologize. I'm like, you don't have to apologize for anything. It's the MCU sheep, whoever's getting paid by Disney Marvel, that should be feeling ashamed. Fuck them.
Moving on to something a little bit lighter. Through an article from the New York Times, Sony is considering developing television projects based on its recent Golden Globe winning Spider-Verse franchise.
Once again, Sony building on that success, doing the right thing. They know what they're doing with Spider-Man and Venom. They are currently planning 2 spin-off films, which include one film focusing on Miles and Spider-Gwen, and then the Spider-Girls film as well. But now you're going to have TV shows based on this. And what I love about this, it does not have to have that animation that they did in the films. It'd be great if they did, but they can have it as a whole separate 2D animated film like they have done, show like they have done in, Young Justice or in some of the Marvel or DC animated TV shows. It does not have to be that particular type of film because they are visiting different universes. You can immediately change the aesthetic to whatever you want it to be and just have the characters move into that universe. You can have a whole show on one of the many other Spider people that you can choose from in the comics.
An interesting idea with that, and I don't know that they would do this because it might be difficult, but you could potentially have them in a different universe every few episodes and have different art styles and all of those, which I think would be really cool. But I think the idea of them bringing Miles Morales to a television series, and hopefully they would use Miles. I get that there's a lot of different Spider-Man, right? But hopefully they'd focus on Miles. That's a great thing to do, right? Because there's so much diversity with Miles. There's so much to like, and he becomes Spider-Man for all these young kids watching it. I would love if Miles was Leo's Spider-Man.
For a lot of kids, actually, it is. I have a lot of kids come in and ask for Spider-Man comics, and I immediately point them to the Spider-Verse ones because they're like, oh, there's Spider-Man, and they're pointing to Miles. And, of course, anyone older than that's like, that's not Spider-Man, it's Peter Parker. It's like, look, it's Ultimate Spider-Man. It's fine. But, yeah, I love that. I love kids are eating it up. I'm selling comics. I'm selling merch. I'm selling those fucking Funko Pops. I love Spider-Verse.
Golden Globe winning Spider-Verse.
That's right. It won a Golden Globe for Best Animated Film. Disney is mad. Ooh,
I bet they
pissed off. Shit, man. This is not a good month for Disney. Fuck out of here. I'm so happy Spider-Verse won. Really, like, in spite of the slight problem I had with the 3D vision in the background, the fact that it looks like stop motion, very much like the Lego movies, Lego Batman.
I love the Lego movies.
They used that type of technology, and it worked in Spider-Verse.
Love Lego movies. Love Lego games. Those were fun games, too. Never beat a single one, but we tried.
But we had fun.
We sure did.
And we still have Lego Batman 3 that we can start and play, and we visit all the different Green Lantern planets. That sounds great.
What?
You didn't know about this?
No.
Yeah, you go into the different planets and you can become the different lanterns. That's the whole thing. Like,
as Batman?
Essentially, Batman rallies up these lanterns and it's like, fuck, he's the new battery.
I bet Leo would watch that game.
I think he would.
I hope so. Let's play it. He watches Pokemon, so maybe Lego Batman.
Moving over to the DC side of the news this week, we have more news, an update on Aquaman's performances. According to Variety, Aquaman now has a worldwide box office taken. As of today's recording, this has blown up since the time you're listening to it, I'm sure. $943 million.
Oof. This puts it slightly behind The Dark Knight, which had $1.004 billion, and The Dark Knight Rises, which had $1.084 billion.
With the film still set to release in Japan.
It still hasn't released in Japan?
Comes out in February.
Oh, shit!
It's gonna surpass. It's gonna surpass The Dark Knight Rises, right?
Easy. As soon as it hits Japan, you don't think all those little Japanese boys and girls are dying to see shirtless Momoa?
Some analysts are saying that this might be the second largest superhero film of all time.
What's the first?
I don't know, something Disney-ish.
How much did it make?
I'm not sure. I'm not concerned with that.
It'll beat it.
I wouldn't go that far. Maybe Aquaman 2. The Aquaman Rises.
Here's the thing about Japan.
Japan, as Scott calls it.
They love hot shirtless things. So Momoa is right up their alley.
What's really funny is I had a religious woman at the shop today, and she was talking about Aquaman. She was buying one of the pops, and I was like, oh, did you see the film yet? And she's like, yes, I liked it very much. Although I don't agree with all of it. I mean, they had the Greek gods in there, which I don't believe in. But I really...
Thank you for clarifying.
Right? And she goes, but I really liked it. And I was like, yeah, it was an enjoyable movie. She's like, yeah, no, I loved it. I've seen it twice. And I'm like, oh, now here's where the woman part comes out.
I was talking to somebody at work the other day, and she's very religious also. And I was like, yeah, Jason Momoa. And she's like, he's dirty. And I'm like...
He's dirty.
Just because his hair was so long. But then she saw a picture of Zac Efron, and she's like, yeah, him. I'm like, no, okay, whatever. So that's not the style anymore.
Momoa apparently trumps religious beliefs. I don't know. Like, she saw it twice. Good on Aquaman.
They could argue, like, God gave him that body. So
yeah, there you go. And that hair. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all describing me. Like, this is weird. We just saw the Aquaman statue today. Like, a guy's like, oh, when did this come out? I'm like, today. He's like, I really liked it.
Pull his robe closer, like close, like, oh, when did this come out?
Like he walked around the store and he's like, I gotta buy it. I was like, all right.
Perfect. I'm glad that movie's making so much money.
But no, the DCEU should have been rebooted, Kelly.
It should have.
It should have been rebooted, and they should just stop making those movies, and they should
just
start
stop
over.
Right now.
Fucking dumb. The average of, someone already broken down, in 6 movies, the DCEU, before Aquaman, made, I think it was like 100 million less than the Marvel Universe by average, compared to their like 34 films. Ridiculous. Like, you think that's a failure? You're an idiot.
Right.
You're a fucking idiot.
They're making so much money, but because it's not easy to digest and I don't really understand some things.
But the tomato rating, Kelly.
And my friends don't really like it either. So I'm going to say that I don't like it.
That's what it is. That's why they're sheep. And that's why they're sheep. Final news bit for the week. By the way, I'm happy that Aquaman... The main reason is all of this continues. We're going to get more DC films as much as you don't like it. Whatever you may feel. And a customer told me like, yo, I wouldn't have thought you liked Aquaman. It's the most like the Marvel Studios films. And I'm like, no, Justice League is. And I hated it. Aquaman... And he's like, yeah, but that had jokes. I'm like, yeah, once every 15 minutes. If it was a Marvel movie, it'd be one every minute. And I talked about it on the review.
The whole thing would be a joke.
It's my second least favorite DCEU film, but I still enjoyed it. This next news bit, though, I may have hinted at a couple of months ago. I think I can sort of maybe talk about it a little bit more. But RevengeOfTheFans.com has reported that Warner Brothers is moving forward with a Superman Red Son animated adaptation based on Mark Millar's 3-issue Elseworlds miniseries.
While the WB has yet to confirm the story, voice actor Dietrich Bader, quote, tweeted the story with, quote, excited to be a part of this, end quote.
The tweet was deleted soon after.
That smells a little fishy.
Superman Red Son, we are a part of what Warner Brothers has is like the A-list community where they will email out certain people. You can apply to it, I think. I don't remember. It's been a couple years since we've been a part of it, but they send us polls as to what we want to see in Blu-rays, DVDs, movies. They gauge our interest in movies, not just in Warner Brothers', but in the competition as well. Disney movies are in there all the time so that they can kind of see what people are looking forward to. And one of the early ones was asking about what animated movies we want to see adapted into, this particular universe. And the one that wasn't on the full list, and you could write in your answer, but I wrote in Batman Hush, and then I voted for Superman Red Son, because that was one of the options. And that was like my 2 votes, right? Soon thereafter, now there's rumors of Hush being an animated adaptation. I'm sure I'm not the only one. Many people surely voted for Batman Hush.
No, just you. They're like, oh, Daniel wanted this? Make it.
Daniel, is that from The Reasons I'm... Yeah,
Make
absolutely.
It.
Oh, shit.
Oh, he was Aquaman. Make it.
What was it? What else did he vote for? Red Sun? Red Sun? Fuck yeah, let's gonna fucking go read Red Sun. What are we gonna do? Let's gonna make it.
Let's just make it. Just don't even read it. Just copy the pages.
Start it now. Here's the budget. Go. This is a blank check. Go! So Superman Red Son is the one I voted for, as well as Hush, and it is my favorite Superman story of all time. We have a Red Son statue in the shop that I work at. When we opened up this store, the owner said, okay, there's a couple statues that we can bring over, some of the overstock just to get everything started. Is there anything that you definitely want to bring over? And I said, the Superman Red Son statue. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, it's my favorite statue in the store. Like, I love it. And this was back when Sideshow was doing $600 pieces, as opposed to that same statue, release it today, easily over $1,000, $1,400 probably. And he's like, all right, since open, we've still had it there. No one's bought it, thankfully. And the owner's asking me, why haven't you bought it? Great price. Even if I paid $600 for it, great price. But I'm like, I look at it more here than I would at home. And it's the truth until someone buys it. And then I can be like, no, it's actually not for sale.
I mean, you could always buy it and just leave it in the store.
That's true. I could do that.
And then that way you know that nobody will purchase it until they're like, I'll give you $1,400. And you're like, sold.
But what's funny about it is the statue has sold more of the trade. It's paid for itself by now, because people ask all the time, they're like, why is that like a communist Superman? And I'm like, oh, Superman Red Son, it's my favorite comic book of all time. He's like, huh? Well, he lands in Russia instead of the US and it's an alternate story. Really? Yeah, it's all about nature versus nurture. It's fucking amazing. Here, check it out. And they flip through it and they're like, I'll check it out. And they buy it. It's ridiculous. And it's so good. It's an amazing comic book. What do you think about it?
Oh, it's amazing. I know we've talked about it on the show several times, but if you haven't read it, we can't stress enough. Go and, if you're a Superman fan, go and read this, right? Because exactly like you said, nature versus nurture. What if you grew up in communist Russia instead of the US? And just from the very beginning, that hook, you're just like, oh shit, I got to, read this. And you can't even stop. It's from start to finish. You got the classics of Batman in there because you got to have Batman. Superman in love with Batman because you got to have Superman in love with Batman. But it was really amazing.
I still love that people are like, what about Lex Luthor then? Does he? I'm like, well, he's an ultimate patriot. He hates Superman because he's Russian and Lex is American. Now he has to stop the Russians. I'm like, and they're like, oh, that makes sense. Like, of course it makes sense. It's brilliant. Right. You're half rooting for Lex Luthor as well.
Somebody was drunk one day and said, what if Superman was communist and this was born?
Mark Miller's a genius. Awesome job. Are you at all nervous about them adapting this to animated?
No. Because what did they just do that we absolutely love? Superman All-Star?
That wasn't recent, though. That was many years ago.
Whatever.
The more recent animated movies, and this is where, once again, we covered this like 2-3 years ago, where they were going to move into a different direction. Instead of just adapting the films, they were going to try to do a cohesive, connected universe. So now you got Death of Superman, but it's a sequel to the New 52 Justice League, which blew my mind. Like, I didn't like it because now you have New 52 Justice League going into the Death of Superman arc, but it's done kind of it's a mishmash of both stories and continuities, and it didn't work for me except for that one Popeye sailor guy, and I thought that was hilarious. And then Batman, of course, beating the shit out of Darkseid. Like, he had broken off most of Darkseid's armor, and like Batman has some scratches here and there, like a broken arm.
Of course.
And he's still fighting Darkseid. I'm like, all right, that's accurate. That's good. I like that. And I like the sailor, but everything else, not so much. I don't want this to be New 52, this same continuity, and now what happens if Superman goes rogue? Like, I don't want that. I want this to just be... No, but you
can't... I mean, I see your concern, but you can't even make... That's not the story at all.
But they didn't do Death of Superman by itself. You know what I mean? Like, they made it as a part of the whole story, and now I'm afraid that they're going to do that.
I trust them, because you can't do wrong by this story.
And it's the same with Batman Hush. I don't want that to be like, oh, this is the same Batman, and now we're just... No, make it its own, standalone, change the animation style, just like they did with Gotham and Gaslight, which is the one beam of hope here. I'm nervous. I'm going to tell you. I'm nervous. Until I see that first trailer, I'll be apprehensive. I'll be cautiously optimistic.
That's fine. I will have the confidence for both of us.
With that bit of a light news week, some heavy hitters, though. There were some big stories in here. We will head into our Bro Kept block, which is what happened with Palpa Kelly and I.
You had more happen for you this week than I did. My biggest thing was I got my cell phone screen replaced, so... By
iBreak You Fix?
Yes. So they actually have... They were the cheapest place. They have a partnership with Samsung, because apparently it's so expensive because my phone's waterproof, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, my phone can go through the washing machine and still survive, which blows my mind, right? That's crazy. So they have to make sure it's all waterproof and protected and things. But they have this thing called liquid glass, which I just found out about, where instead of getting a tempered glass on top, they put like another layer of glass. They kind of pour it on there, and then it's there.
We put the glass on top of your glass.
That's pretty much what they did. But then, so it's the same price as the tempered glass, but then if my phone screen cracks, then they replace it for $20. So I was like, done, sold. And they're like, are you really? And I'm like, yeah, I got this 1-year-old. What do you think? Like, I will be back. So just fix it.
See you next month, bitch.
When I only paid $20, suckers. So I did that. It took about 2 hours, but I mean, my phone looks great again and I'm happy.
I ended up going to Sonic Treasure Hunter's pad. I went to his place, like we had tweeted out.
Ooh.
Why does everyone make that joke?
Ooh, going to his place.
He tweeted out this picture of all of these alcohol bottles. And I was like, that's amazing. And he's like, yeah, that'll last me a week. Hey, Daniel, you want to help me with this? And I was like, do I?
Run out of our house and into his.
And I went over and I had a Game of Thorns drink. which ended up being smoky. Like, and now it makes sense. I'm like, oh, of course, it's like probably like the Dragon's Brew or what. It ended up being
Was it a beer?
No, it was like a liquor.
Okay.
But it was a limited edition one, which was like, I was glad that he shared it because he's like, yep, this is it. And it's his one bottle. And yeah, it had like this I've never tasted,
that's really cool.
Something like that. But he also had like Bacardi, of course. And then he had a couple of whiskeys. But of course, the room he had is the Sonic Treasure Hunter room. Like he has about the size of our closet here, and then where we're recording, the bathroom shower area here, like all of this combined, and it's the room of collectibles. And he has it set up where it's from the left of the room, it's the classic Sonic, and then as you go down the room, it becomes like the modern Sonic, like Sonic Boom and 2006. And of course, like every single thing that I saw there, I had to take a picture of. He had the full setup of like all the Genesis games.
Cool.
He also had like different prints from the original artists that they had on there from the Dreamcast era. He had the shoes. He had Piggy Bank. He had cookie jars. He had all kinds of statues from first four figures. He had the cutouts, the cardboard standees from some of the original games in there as well. He had snowboards from the actual Sonic games. And then he had a full Dreamcast setup with the Sonic cardboard setup on there. Shadow's one of his least favorite characters, but he still had to collect it. He had a slot machine. You're looking at the slot machine right now.
That's so cool. Did you take real quarters?
That was the first fucking question I asked him. And he's like, the guy set it up so that it was a different kind of coin, so he couldn't actually operate it, which was really, like, he was kind of upset about. But, it's still an amazing collectible. He had a rare shirt that was done he explained to me it was a sponsorship thing. But obviously, like, I'm not a huge Sonic collector at all. So someone else that's really in that community would be like, holy shit, but I appreciated it as a collector because I saw the setups. One of my favorite ideas was having the original pages next to the actual comic. And he had several frames of that around his room of those things. He had the Chef Boyardee thing, which was one of his rare items.
Did you walk in there and like
I just opened it right up. Like, I'm hungry, man. I just
gonna eat some of these SpaghettiOs.
One of my favorite characters, actually my favorite Sonic character is Knuckles, and he had the first four figure of that, and he let me know, like, yeah, they still have those in stock through the website. I'm like, oh, fuck yes. I took a picture of Tails before Purple Swordfish, because I know that's his favorite character. And there was also like different snow globes that he had in there, like Macy's Day Parade, full glass setups with light fixtures and
cool,
and
Super Saiyan Sonic.
Yeah, that statue was amazing, amazing. There's a different shot of the shoes I'm showing Kelly right now. There's some pint glasses, there's everything you can think of Sonic. This is a custom figurine. I'm going to share all these photos, by the way, Brokeheads, but it's going to take months. Like, it's going to be a while before I share all of these. And it is just an incredible, incredible room of collectibles. And I was just taken aback by the setup of it, the dedication, of course. And Laura was like, oh, you still have some room over here that you can put more things. Like, he was trying to figure out where he can put more. He had his comics also set up. There were some posters that he had that were, I think, banned, like Rock Band posters. And I was like, why don't you put those in the ceiling? Because they're kind of tacked. Thumbtacks on the wall. And I was like, you can use those for the ceiling, and that's another 3 shelves right there. And he's like, oh, that's true. So I like to think that I helped a little.
You did, I'm sure.
And we watched some South Park, which was a lot of fun. We watched the early seasons of it. And then I made the joke of like, oh, thanks for letting me take all these pictures. I'm going to start a new account that's Treasure Hunting Sonic. And hey guys, this is a collection I'm sharing. And I don't think you found it funny, but
no, probably not. That's really cool, though. I'm glad that you got to go and try new alcohol and see his cool setup. You worked on your room setup this week as well. Yeah, that was all like mainly thanks to Kelly, because she helped me out so much. Like, I make the joke that I've been banished to the man cave, right? But it's actually a better setup, because with little Leo, it's tough to work on things like the podcast when it's out in the living room, because he has Menorah that he watches, but eventually he wants to walk over and sit with daddy and play on the computer and push the buttons. And with that, it cuts down on my time completely. I have to stop. Like, I can't do anything. So what we ended up doing is we moved my desk over to my comic room.
And then we rearranged the comic room so we could fit the desk, and we moved the bookshelf with all my trades, my comic book trades and manga over to that room. The plan is to move the two, or at least one of the statue cases over to that same room, because now that he can walk and run around, he likes to bang on the cases. Not as bad as I've heard some stories, but like it's still an issue, you know, so it's going to be, plus it's better in that room, like just to have all my collectibles with my comic books. And we also got, thanks to Purple Swordfish's recommendation, a circle light that I think we talked about for the holidays that your parents gifted me, and that got set up in that room. So I'm taking a lot of pictures using that particular light, and it's beautiful. Like it works out great. And I think it's going to improve on the pictures that we share with all of you on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr. So it's all coming along, and a lot of that was you know, rearranging and helping with the move. And I guess you're not nesting, are you?
No. Definitely not. But, you know, I've said kind of from the beginning, and I guess I kind of always had a vision for that room. And I don't know if, you know, it's just now coming together for you. But I always wanted you to have a place, especially when we had Leo, where you could just kind of get away, because I knew he was going to be all up in everything. And he is. Now that he can walk, he sees that glass case and he's hitting on it. And, you know, he's closing the doggy door.
Hey, baby, what's going on?
He's closing that doggy door so Ace can't go out. And he's pulling things off the bookshelf. And those things bother you a little bit, right? Because you're very particular about your collectibles, which is, you know, fine. So we're still working on it. You're going to have some floor mats. They shipped today. So,
finally.
So they should be here soon. And then, you know, you're going to get that custom
tapestry.
Yeah, custom tapestry for the wall. So it'll have our logo on it. And we're going to put some, I have in mind to put some stuff behind us so that we can actually sit in there and record. So we're still in our closet, but hopefully within the next 2 or 3 weeks, we can be able to record in that room, and then we can sit at tables like normal people.
Yeah.
But then you kind of have everything there, right? Because you have your mic on one side of the table and your computer on the other, and then you can sit in your comfortable chair. And then you can just turn when you have alone time, and you have everything right there that you need.
I always think it's funny when both our kids, Ace and Leo, walk into that room now, and they're always like kind of taken aback by it.
Because they never go in there.
Because they never go in there and they don't see it. And it's always fun because they both have the same reactions. A little human baby and then the dog of like looking around and walking
like,
slowly.
What is this place?
What is this? And I'm like, why do both of you have the same?
Because they never get to, like, we've always, at least for the last year and a half, kept that room closed so that nobody could go in there.
It smells like wood, which I love because it always stays closed and I have wood furniture in there, so I'm like, it almost smells like my comic shop a little bit.
Yeah, it always, neat. I mean, it has, yeah, I guess it does. It does have that interesting smell. It doesn't smell like a baby's been running around throwing stuff everywhere.
It's true. So I know one of the things, it's not gonna go in that direction completely, but for the last couple of years, we've had people ask, why don't you have a video portion to the podcast where you can just see you guys talking? It's like, well, no, like your biggest thing is like, no, I'm not gonna get ready to do a podcast
I'm sitting
as
here
well.
in my fucking pajamas, guys. My hair looks nasty, my makeup, yeah.
But now that we have like a pseudo studio-ish, like maybe I'll do a couple more. Like now we can do different unboxings. Now we can do unboxings at night as opposed to only at day with daylight. And we can have themed backgrounds and themed surroundings to that particular statue or comic or whatever it is that we're unboxing. And I know we haven't done one in a few months, and that is a product of course, having a kid, but also not having the right setup or time to do these things. And we're moving in that direction where we can have that. So it's streamlined, it's rebuilding, it's kind of adjusting, all of that. And I think we're about to see, what do you call it?
Fruits of the labor.
There you go. Fruits of the labor this year for sure. Absolutely. And sooner rather than later, I think you'll see an unboxing within the next couple of weeks.
Well, one of the big changes for us too, which, you know, yes, the light really helps, but now that Leo's sleeping in his own bed. So right now Leo's asleep and we're sitting here recording and he's sleeping through the night. Thank fucking God. so that we don't have to worry about it. It's not like he's in the other room and we're going to wake him up or anything like that. And listen, guys, if you don't have your child sleep trained, it is a game changer.
It is.
Suck it up for 4 days and just do it. Like, it's hard. It's one of the hardest things you will do as a new parent, but I feel like a human again.
Well, and we felt like Leo and Ace as well when they were walking into that room. We were like, "What? We have time?
We have what can we can we do things? So like our house is significantly cleaner. Not the cleanest. I will still admit that there is a ways to go, but now I have time to do the dishes after he's asleep, or I have time to pick up the living room, right? And we have time to sit and record. And now we have Thursday nights free, whereas normally that's when we would have recorded, while somebody watched the kids. So sleep train your children.
Yeah, and Bobby was telling me like months ago, like, no, do it. Please, you're going to regret it if you don't. Yeah, there are horror stories of people with like 2-year-olds where they can't sleep in their own bed.
Somebody I work with has a 6-year-old, and the 6-year-old will not sleep if his feet are not touching her.
It's pretty crazy. Pretty nuts.
I mean, what you do for your kids.
I get it. I understand. Yeah. And I won't ever say, what the fuck are you doing? But it's like, like you said, suck it up. Do it.
Just cry with them for 3 days. Make sure you have time off work because you don't sleep either.
Yeah, but a product of sleep training him is now I actually got to jump into a little bit of Smash Brothers Ultimate. I've still been apprehensive about getting back on Black Ops because it's right down the living room from his. And when I'm talking to the guys on the headset, I'm afraid of waking him up. So I'm still like, all right, do I want to just try it and wake him up? You'd have to be at home as well.
We could move the PS4 into our bedroom.
Yeah, but then now I'm keeping you up. Like I play till, the guys and I played till 1 or 2 in the morning.
I didn't sleep through anything now. Are you kidding me?
Maybe. We'll see.
Try it. Just try it. Right? Would you rather keep me up or wake up our son?
Neither. Both are issues
that's
for me.
a great husband answer.
Yes, that's right. I don't want to wake either of you up equally as much.
Okay, good. Perfect.
And so that's going to be another thing. But I did get to play Smash Brothers Ultimate, which is set up in the other room, which is our room way across from Leo's. And I went online for 5 matches. How many did I win?
0?
4. I won 4 matches.
That's amazing.
It was weird because I played as Greninja, who I haven't practiced as much except for the Wii U Smash Brothers. So I'm like, he plays the same, and he does.
Good.
Like I'm like, I'll do this ignorant thing and just jump into Smash Brothers online, and I was doing well to the point where 2 of my matches. And they kind of wimped out where it's like, all right, 3 stock, let's fucking do this. Playing, matching, fighting. Boom, kill their first life. I've got 3 left, they've got 2. They go, all right, fuck this. And they jump off the stage twice and end game. They want a rematch. All right, kill their first life again, jump off the stage twice. I'm like, you fucking babies. Giant fucking babies. That was 2 of my matches, though, where they just like quit. Because they were upset. It's like, you can come back. I would still fight. I would, in Black Ops, like a lot of people quit when they're like, oh, we're behind by 30 points. It's like, no, make them get their fucking last kills. Fuck those motherfuckers.
Make them work for it.
That's right.
Bitches.
Beat chance. So that's what I did that's what I would do for Smash. So I'm like, you know what? My record is like way in the positives. I should just not play online again. Just retire as Greninja.
Number 1 forever.
That's right. Over to your side, though, with the Brocat block, you're about to have your wisdom teeth removed. What, like next week?
Yes, like 5 days from now, 6 days from now. Potentially, I'm going to have my wisdom teeth removed. So there's an issue with my insurance, and it's not my fault. But Thanks insurance.
Obama.
Insurance. It may or may not. They have to listen.
Not Obama, guys.
They have to listen to the tapes. They have to. So I was like, all right.
I know what you're talking about.
Because I had to call in to update my elections for work. And so they wrote down what I wanted, but they did not click what I wanted. So they gave me they're charging me way too much fucking money, right? And I called them and I was like, Jeffrey, this was not what I wanted. I don't know that his name was Jeffrey, but whatever. And he's like, I see that written here, but we have to listen to the tapes. And there was no point in getting mad at him, right? That's my PSA, right? When you're talking to somebody, if you're in the service industry, it's not their fault. And it wasn't his fault. He wasn't the one who clicked the wrong thing. I get that he has to toss it up to somebody higher. Is it fucking frustrating for me because I'm now being charged an extra $100 a week for something that I did not ask for and they have record, and they're not going to refund that money? It's not going to happen. I can ask.
Trump. I'm just going to blame everyone.
Anyway, I can ask, but I'm never going to see that money again. It's gone because they're going to say, well, you had the coverage, so whatever. Hopefully they send out the iPad anyway. I'll get a free iPad out of it.
Flip that shit.
Regardless, I will potentially be getting my wisdom teeth removed, assuming that my insurance gets fixed in the next 2 days.
Like, I know Nick's Nerd News is like, what do you mean potentially? I'm supposed to be on the fucking show next week.
That's fine. You can still be on the show. So if that happens, I will be off the show for sure next week. maybe the week after. It's going to depend on how I feel.
The recovery.
Right. I've heard multiple things because some people say it's super shitty. You'll be out of it for forever. Right. But then the moms that I talk to have gotten it done. They're like, you'll be fine in 3 days.
Nice.
You'll be up and running around because that's what you do as
You've
a mom.
been through war.
Right. When I was talking about, I got some good drugs, man. They sent me with amoxicillin and all this stuff. And I was asking the doctor, the nurse at the time, I said, I have a young child that I'm supposed to watch. I obviously can't take these drugs. She's like, no, those drugs will knock you out. Just take some ibuprofen. Just take it and go. Here you go. 800 milligrams. You'll be fine.
Did you have Louis C.K.'s doctor?
Maybe. So we'll see. Will not be attractive. I actually, and I'm sorry, it falls over our anniversary. The day after I get surgery.
The chipmunk face.
The day after surgery is my anniversary. So you'll be caring for a chipmunk face. Sorry.
It'll be adorable.
It will not. I was talking to somebody, her bruising was so bad, she looked like she had a beard for 2 weeks.
Whoa.
Yeah, like it was just all black and blue.
Never mind.
So that might be
no
me.
Difference, so.
There'll be, but it's a real quick procedure. It's 45 minutes in and out. They're going to knock me out. I'll come home. I'll sleep for like 2 days because they'll give me some good drugs. And then hopefully I'm up and around.
I think Maceo had it recently, but I believe he said it was the worst pain he had in his life, but he pretty much said that it feels like if someone punched you in the jaw, but that pain is constant. Right.
I mean, my 2 points to that. One, he's never pushed a child out of a bagel hole.
He was trying to help.
I get that. Deliver a child and then we'll talk pain. But the second thing is I'm in pain all the time now anyway, right? I take pain meds every single day because my teeth are killing me. And the alternate, which they said, and I don't know, maybe all doctors say that, but if they continue to grow, like they not only keep pushing my teeth, but they're pushing into the nerve. So I could potentially lose feeling in my whole jaw. And I'm pretty sure there's cavities where they're pushing into the teeth.
Right, that's the issue because it's never cleaned.
Right, so I'm going to have to get that fixed too.
I'm still going to go by my doctor from like 5 or 6 years ago, the surgeon.
If they don't hurt you, don't do it.
Yeah. The pain I would put you through is not worth the pain that you would feel for 3 days. I'm like, oh shit. All right. See you, doc.
Thanks.
What made it worse is the nurse was like, you got to weigh this time again. And I'm like, what do you mean I got to weigh? Jesus, fuck. Like that made me extra nervous.
Well, and I wouldn't be getting mine done, except they hurt every single day. And that's what it is. The growth hormones kicked in with Leo when I was pregnant. And my wisdom teeth are like, oh, we're growing again? Okay, this is fun. And now they're just in a place and, I feel them poking through the skin, right? If you stick your finger back up in my jaw, you feel them. And my jaw's just not big enough.
So my doctor would be like, you are feeling pain now, so I will put you through that pain.
Probably.
Or he'd say, the pain I can put you through is not worth it for the pain you're feeling now.
Be like, doctor, I delivered a baby. And he'd be like, oh, shit. Okay.
The pain I'd put you through is more than a delivering a baby.
That's not even true. Would you be shocked, though, if he said that? I 100%, I wouldn't be shocked by that, doctor, but I 100% don't believe that because nobody but mothers understand.
But you've heard some women say that, though, have you not?
I guess, but maybe their epidural still worked when they were pushing because mine stopped and they wouldn't give me more drugs.
They gave you more. Yeah, they'd be like, here's more ice, Kelly.
Yeah, they're like, here's some ice chips and a popsicle. And I wanted to be like, fuck your ice chips and your popsicle. I don't want that shit. I want this child out of me. And then I kept saying, cut this child out of me. And they said, no, you're doing fine. I'm very angry now because you brought it. Somebody asked me the other day, they're like, Kelly, when are you having another one? I said, when my husband can carry and deliver. And they always laugh. That's my go-to. That way they leave me alone. That's
right. But that is our Broke blog, what happened with Palpa, Kelly, and I. Let's head on over to our thank yous. The people that make the show possible before we head into Bendis' Young Justice.
These are our Patreon shoutouts. This week we have 4. The first one goes out to Neil, whose Twitter handle is @inmats68.
Neil retweeted the Batman the Animated Series Heart of Ice quote, "Think of it, Batman, to never again walk upon a summer's day with a hot wind in your face and a warm hand to hold. Oh yes, I'd kill for that."
Nora. That is, of course, from Mr. Freeze, one of the greatest Batman villains of all time.
One of the greatest Batman episodes, one of the greatest Batman stories of all time, where you reinvent Mr. Freeze to be incredibly sympathetic. And a lot of people are like, well, Thanos is sympathetic. It's like, fuck off. That is not Mr. Freeze. And I have not seen Infinity War, so I'm not one to talk. But from what everyone tells me, okay, watch that and then watch Heart of Ice and tell me that that fucker is sympathetic. Mr. Freeze, who is the saddest character, is emotionally like as dull as possible, yet he is emotionally compromised. Like, it is a man driven by love completely.
Take this, humanitarian.
And Batman's trying to stop him. It's like, help Mr. Freeze.
Just help him. Our next shout out goes out to John, whose Twitter handle is at John72Tex.
His Instagram is also at Johnny2Chips, where he shared his 9.2 CGC graded issue of Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, number 134, which is the first cameo appearance of Darkseid.
Wow, what's he doing in it?
I've gone through this book before. It's like a monitor image where someone calls on Darkseid, and it's like Darkseid in a big image, and he looks really flat and like wide.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. It's like, that's fucking Darkseid.
Are they FaceTiming him like, hey, Darkseid?
Pretty much. Pretty much.
What's up, girl?
And I remember we're like, that's going to be a big book in a few years, but we can't legitimately charge huge numbers for it. This was like 7 years ago. And now it's like, yeah, track down that fucking book.
Yeah, get it while you can.
Next shout out goes out to Brian on Twitter at BrianShoup1.
He retweeted a hilarious picture which reads, quote, when you accidentally summon a great old one while trying to pronounce furniture names in IKEA, end quote.
Who was that great one, Palpa Kelly?
It's Monster Zero.
Hell yeah. Monster Zero over that fucking IKEA. About to fuck up Godzilla and all them bitches.
It's true. I can't pronounce anything in IKEA, though. Not a thing.
Yeah, keep trying, though. You'll get King Ghidorah up in this bitch.
Okay.
Will
he help me fly my furniture home? Because it never fits in my car.
That's true. Won't help you build it, but if you get frustrated enough at the instructions, it'll help you destroy that shit.
We should go to IKEA again soon. We always find some good things.
Yeah. A lot of customers are like surprised about our furniture in the shop, and they're like, you got this at IKEA. And I'm like, yeah. That glass case is amazing. We're a locally owned store. Like, this is not like...
we don't have millions, guys.
We're not going to get personally branded Daniel furniture or some shit. Like, this is all like, yeah, we got this at the cheapest place nearby.
The IKEA glass cases are great, though. We've had ours for years, at least 5 years, 6 years now.
Customers keep telling me about this, like, light fixture that you can put in them. Where they're like, oh, at mine, it's like a string light thing.
Oh.
Where it's like wrapped in plastic. Like, I always think they're cheap because you always see them at like the New York video shops and stuff. And I'm like, really, those? And they're like, yeah, because you don't need to plug them into places. And I'm like, I don't know what kind of magical shit this is, but that's how they light up there. So I was thinking like, well, maybe we can do that for the shop. And if it works out great, then maybe I'd put them in the house.
I'll do it at my place of work first, and then I guess my house.
They said there's no wires, so I don't know how that is.
I don't know how that is either.
Some battery-powered thing, maybe.
But then you got to change batteries.
That's the issue.
And I mean, who's really... And the shop is always open in daytime. You're not even going to notice it. What are you thinking, Daniel? This is madness.
Our final shout out goes out to Kat on Instagram at Katshaw.
She put up one of her favorite pictures of 2018, which is a signed print of Trixie Mattel from RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah, is that a contest TV show type of thing?
Yeah, you've
like
never
Hell's
seen
Kitchen?
RuPaul's Drag Race?
No, I know it's gone on for years.
You would love RuPaul's Drag Race. Yes. So it's a bunch of drag queens competing to be the ultimate drag queen. And they have all these like competitions, right? Like they do in regular reality TV show. Competition, reality TV show, whatever. And then the two ones who do the worst have to lip sync for their life. And then they have to dance on stage to these things. And everybody's like, woo! You would love RuPaul's Drag Race. Please watch it with me. I was like the one, and I watched one full season, and then I kind of fell off the bandwagon, right? But I discovered it, and I was like, what? And I didn't know that RuPaul was a man at first. So like I was very confused. And then I said, this is the best thing ever. Not a man. Well, I'm sorry. Yes.
I don't know the very person. I think Trixie was a runner-up, is what I was saying.
But I feel like Trixie's the name that I hear the most. So obviously Trixie has a lot of...
Or she won, yeah.
Right. has a lot of followers. Anyway, you have to watch it with me, and then you can talk about on the show how much you loved RuPaul's Drag Race.
What are they on, Hulu or Netflix?
Yeah, they're on Hulu.
All right.
They
yeah,
were last time I looked.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yes!
It sounds
I'm
like
so
you
excited.
definitely think that I would love it.
I know you, and I think that you would really enjoy it.
All right, then.
What I know of you.
So thank you so much, Kat, Brian, John, and Neil for your Patreon support. And there's your shout-outs for this month. If you too would like your shout-out, head on over to patreon.com/thereasonsimebroke for just $1 a month, a minimum of $1. You get your shout-out every month.
But of course, our podcast will always be free. The best thing you can do is reach out to us on Twitter @ReasonsI'mBroke, @PalpaKelly. Let us know what went on with you this week. Ask us some questions. We always love to hear from you and answer. And of course, leave us a review wherever you listen to us.
Huge thanks to Joe's from DecalAvenue.com for the help at the $5 decal reward tier. You can also leave us a voicemail. There is a link in today's description. Otherwise, speakpipe.com/thereasonsimebroke. You want to ask a question, you want to give us feedback, and you want to be heard on the air? This is how you do it. Speakpipe.com/thereasonsimebroke.
And we will definitely put you on the show if you leave us one of those, if your message is within reason.
That's right. You can do it right from your phone. Click on,
Cool.
You can swipe over to the description of today's episode.
Cool.
Click on that SpeakPipe link, and from your phone's microphone, it's like you're making a fucking phone call. Leave it on there. You can re-record that shit. I remember Kyle Lynch said he redid his phone message several times because he was afraid of how it turned out. You can fucking do it over and over again.
I want somebody to leave one and just be like, "What's up?" Because it's 1999 again.
The gauntlet has been thrown, Brokehead Core. Who's going to leave the what's up? Let's head on over into our comic book highlight of the week.
This week, our comic book highlight is Young Justice #1. This is written by Brian Michael Bendis with art by Pat Gleason, and the colorist is Alejandro Sanchez.
How would you colorist Mr. Alejandro Sanchez's name? Because he's got to have a one-name colorist name. You're not a colorist unless you have that.
Al Sanch.
Al Sanch. So colors by Al Sanch. Very good.
I want him to listen to this and he's like, that shit's good. And he just becomes Al Sanch forever.
Changes his signature,
Everything.
changes his Twitter,
All of
Instagram,
it.
everything. What'd you think of this debut of Wonder Comics, which is a new line of books by Brian Michael Bendis, headlining a still in continuity comics? A lot of people have been asking, like, so what is Wonder Comics? In continuity, but it's aimed at younger readers.
I really enjoyed this book a lot more. Like
Interesting.
I went into it with no expectations, I guess. I just, okay, let's read Young Justice.
Is
right?
this the review this week, Daniel?
And that's pretty much what it was, right? But by the end of it, I really enjoyed it. Again, yes, it's for younger readers. Don't expect deep philosophical anything, right? There's humor all throughout. The villain's just kind of like, oh, okay, bye. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good setup.
It's also got two all-new characters, Ginny Hex and then Teen Lantern. So for any of you speculators out there, I guess, if you want to try to collect those are in this comic. I felt a little bit differently. I thought it was just middle of the road for me. It fell into that trap of now we're really seeing it in DC and Bendis where it's like, hey, yeah, me too. Duh. Hi. How are you? 17 word bubbles just back and forth with these characters like, duh. Hey, of course. Nah. I don't like that. Like it annoys the hell out of me. It's not quite as bad as like in the Ultimate Universe with Miles Morales, but it's getting there. The reason it bugs me is because some of these characters, all the characters sound the same now. They're all saying duh. They're all saying of course. I don't like that, and that's one of my gripes. Pat Gleason's art, though, we love him from Batman and Robin, from Superman. One of the things, I don't know if you read the interview at the very end of the issue, but he said, for example, for Impulse, he never wants to draw him running. He said one of his things is, this is a character that's faster than the blink of an eye. Why would you spend time drawing him running? So all of his poses are him jumping, falling, saving someone, and his reasoning is it makes him more human for the readers.
That's really interesting.
Whenever you flip through Young Justice, anytime Pat Gleason draws Impulse, it's not just going to be a running shot of the character. So him jumping, falling, whatever. And then the other thing I want to know, of course, more about Teen Lantern. So I'm stuck on this book because I want to know, like, how do you have a Green Lantern? Who is this Teen Lantern? Tim Drake headlining this team is huge. he has a massive fan base. I'm surprised, like, I know it's like, oh, why not Damian? But he already has the Teen Titans and he has Super Sons. So go with Tim Drake. It makes a lot of sense.
I mean, Damian's on the cover, isn't he?
No, that's Tim Drake.
Oh, okay, fine.
It's because Pat Gleason draws them exactly the same,
Yeah, they
except
do.
Tim
They
Drake
look
is a little bit taller. And then you have Wonder Girl in there, who I haven't read tons of, but I know a lot of the classic Young Justice readers do have that. On the cover, you have, of course, Superboy. And I guess the Young Justice movie or show fans might relate to that a little bit. I know Pat Gleason fought very hard to keep him in his 90s looks with a leather jacket and the patches. So that stayed on with this particular look. What'd you think of the artwork on it?
I thought it was beautiful. That was something that I noticed, which, as I've mentioned before, I don't often notice the artwork. I think the thing that I really enjoyed most about this book was who we got at the end, though. That very last character reveal. And I was like, oh, shit, because that's... no, not that one.
Okay,
the other one.
Okay.
The other one.
It's not at the end. Amethyst. Yeah, let's
she's
go
like the second to last page.
But at the very beginning of the comic, they tell you that they're in Amethyst world. It's like,
I know they're in
Amethyst.
Gym World, but I still thought it was Starfire on the cover. Like, give me a break, okay? I'm like, she's in purple. It's Starfire.
Starfire.
But yes, Amethyst shows up, and she and Tim Drake are already going to have a thing. I know.
You think so, huh?
Yeah. Because he ended up with her.
He's like, you're the closest to Starfire.
No, but he was never with Starfire. Anyway.
Oh, that's true. Right?
Yeah, it was Dick Grayson.
All right.
Calm down. Learn your Robins, okay? So Tim Drake and Amethyst are definitely going to have a thing. I wouldn't be surprised if Wonder Girl and Joanne Hex, or whatever her name is, have a thing.
Ginny?
Yeah. I'm calling it. That's going to happen.
I was going to ask, like, it's Bendis. Where are the gay characters? Someone's going to be gay.
Right there.
You don't think it's the final page with Impulse and Superboy?
No, because Superboy would never be with Impulse. Impulse is just a little kid. That's weird.
We'll see. I guess we'll find out.
I mean, maybe it's Teen Lantern who has a thing with Impulse. I don't know. But I'm going to guess
2019.
It's Wonder Girl and what her name?
Or maybe no one. I don't know. Doesn't have to
There's somebody.
You're like, it's Bendis.
It's
Daniel.
Bendis. Come on.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's a very exciting comic. It's definitely for younger readers. I love the artwork by Pat Gleason. That's one of the things. It's never been this bright, which is amazing.
Right.
Even in Superman.
Very bright. Very pretty.
Superman. So I love that. The villains, were lackluster, but this was...
But again, it's a kid's comic, right? Like, I thought they were entertaining. So they're from Gym World, and they bust in there and wreak all this havoc, and then they start getting the shit beat out of them, and they're like, fine, we accept Superman's defeat, and then they leave. And I was like, good for him.
Yeah, who would you recommend this book to? Probably Super Sons readers, I would say. Teen Titans, absolutely.
Yeah, just a younger audience, and I wouldn't even say like an older teen audience, like young to mid-teens. I think even kids in middle school would enjoy this as well.
There you go. So that was our comic book highlight, Young Justice #1, and the podcast for the week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in this and every single week. Again, you can reach out to us on Twitter at Reasons I'm Broke, at Kelli. Follow me if you haven't. I'm almost to 100. I barely broke 1,400 this week. Ooh, it was crazy. Ooh. I've been trying to hit 1,400 for fucking so long, Kelli. You don't even know. I only months. Have 1,400. I was in the 1390s. I have like 80, Daniel. Well, rally the Brokehead Core, man. You got to do it. I'm trying to get to 100. 1,401 just to beat you. Can the 1,401 be James 1? Like, would that just, please. Would the universe implode? It would. I'm 1,401. I'm like that frog. People are like, that was from 2017. Yeah, and it was great, guys. It's still great. So thank you again for tuning in to the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, your podcast awards nominated 2017, 2018, and hopefully 2019 show. I am Bird Keeper Daniel. And I am Emperor Kelli. And Brokehead Core. All will be well.